The Metal Gear Solid Masters Edition is dropping soon, which is a great reason for us to go back in time and reminisce about the legendary game that is Metal Gear Solid. Now, if you've played any of these games, you understand the crazy mind of Hideo Kojima and everything that he's put together. Now, of course, if you know this series, you know it's all about the conspiracies, you know it's all about the one world government, but at the end of the day, it really has so many different influences from what's really happening in real life. And you go back and you play Sons of Liberty, and then you look at today, and you realize Kojima was so ahead of his time, and also maybe not just trying to tell a story, but also give a warning. One thing that stands out is the cohesiveness of the entire story. While we all know Guns of Patriots got a little shaky, they all basically feel the exact same. They all lead in the same direction, and they all have the same purpose. A lot of games these days, they seem to be at the mercy of decisions made based on profits and shareholders. And that means if a game doesn't sell well, even if it was actually really good, they'll go in a completely different direction and panic. It happens every time. It's really cool to think that this series started off as a 2D NES game and became one of the most expansive and interactive open world games ever. One of my earliest gaming memories was one Saturday morning when I was playing Metal Gear Solid 1 on PlayStation, and I remember defeating Sniper Wolf in that first encounter, and I came upstairs with my dad and I was crying my eyes out, trying to express to him what I had just lived through, the emotions that had just gone through me. It was the first time I had encountered that in a movie, in a video game, in any piece of media, and it really stood out to me and just really made me obsessed with the series moving forward. One aspect that either really turned you on or was something that you absolutely loved about this series was the cutscenes. You were essentially playing a movie in this game, and that's something that did not appeal to every single person. But if you were immersed in the story, if you appreciated the characters, the progression, it was the most amazing experience. The music. Okay, let's talk about the music. Some of the songs, some of the scores from this entire series are some of the greatest tracks and scores I've ever heard in my life. When you were able to access the iPod in Guns of Patriots, I cannot tell you how many times I listened to some of my favorite songs from Metal Gear Solid 1. Best is yet to come, anyone? Then there's that age-old rivalry between Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell and Solid Snake. I remember being at school so many different times talking to my Xbox buddies, and they'd always insist that Sam Fisher would beat up Snake, but I'd always say, no way, Snake is literally a genetically engineered fighter, there's no chance he loses. I felt like Hideo Kojima does such an amazing job of just fleshing out and just building these amazing characters. One of the biggest proponents to that whole storyline, that whole series, is every single character has such an arc, has such a story to them. There's so much to dive into. When it comes to bosses, Metal Gear Solid may have some of the best bosses in all of gaming history. From the actual Metal Gear Rex, the Cyborg Ninja, and of course the end on Metal Gear Solid 3, the way you had to beat him, that in itself was incredible. IGN did an amazing breakdown of the top 10 bosses, and honestly, they're all amazing in their own right. The absolute genius behind the idea that you had to switch your controller port to beat Psycho Mantis on PlayStation 1 was insane. Hideo Kojima and his entire team at Konami, they never faltered when it came to pushing the limit on bosses, on fighting, on new gameplay. They really were the leading creators in their industry. Obviously, after Hideo Kojima left Konami, it's been kind of impossible for them to continue the story because this is literally a purely Hideo Kojima story. No one else can tell this or direct this without him. So we'll see what the future holds. All I know is I am super excited to get my hands on this remake, and I'm going to be having some really good times. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. What was your favorite boss battle? Who was your favorite character? Will you be buying this new Masters Edition?